Hi moms and dads. In the first video, we mentioned 3 big ideas that we want all parents to remember from this training video series. Firstly, we are disciples before we are parents. Secondly, we disciple as we parent. And thirdly, good news before good behaviors. We began looking at the second point a couple of videos ago. And in the last video, we talked about creating intentional time for family devotion. Matt Chandler and Adam Griffin call it Family Discipleship Time in their book, and Timothy Paul Jones uses the term faith talk. Basically, it is an intentional time carved out of your weekly schedule for the special purpose of directing your hearts or our hearts towards God together. We believe 3 elements make for fruitful family devotions. Firstly, sustainable consistency. Different families have unique relationship dynamics, life commitments, cultural backgrounds, and inherited traditions. Therefore, the frequency, duration, and time of day of your family devotion will differ from other families. You have to experiment with what works best for your family. What is important is that it is sustainable and it is consistent. Today, we will look at the other 2 elements. So let's jump right in.
The second important element is the choice of material. Find a suitable material that you can go through with your family. It depends on several factors, such as age, cognitive ability, reading comprehension level, attention span, and the spiritual maturity of your family members. It also depends on how often and how long your family devotion is. But at the same time, I want to encourage you not to underestimate your children's ability to remember Bible stories and comprehend biblical truths. Our children have often surprised us with the things they learn and understand. So although stories and pictures from children's Bibles are exciting, don't stay at children's Bibles for too long. As they grow older, challenge them and engage their minds to chew on harder and deeper truths from the Bible. In terms of material, let us briefly share our experience. When our children were newborn, we read our own Bible with them. They didn't understand what we read yet, but this helped us start the habit of family devotion. Also, this was our special bonding time, and because we did it before bedtime, it signaled to them that it was their bedtime soon. Then, when they could sit up, we read simple children's Bible stories with lots of pictures. We used our fingers to point to the pictures and the words. Looking back, we realized that it also helped them with their reading skill as they looked at the words as we read. Then we moved to the children's Bibles with more words and fewer pictures. We particularly enjoyed the Jesus Storybook Bible. Each chapter is a bit longer, but it doesn't just teach us what to do as Christians. It also tells us what God has done in Jesus Christ first. It's not just teaching morality, it is centered on the gospel. Then when they could read by themselves, we moved to the actual Bible. At times they stumble on some difficult or new words, but that's okay. It's part of their learning. With the actual Bible, we started with narratives, such as the Gospels, Acts, Genesis, Exodus, Samuel, and Kings. Anything that is story-based. It is easier for younger kids to read stories, plus it's easier to act them out too. We did some role-playing with them when they were young. It kept them engaged, and it made the family devotion fun too. These days, at least once a week, we read the Bible with them. We read through the books of the Bible systematically. But on some days, we can also watch videos by Bible Project, Moving Works, The Chosen, and other videos that we find interesting and helpful. Once a week, we have family reading time. We sit together in the living room, but each of us reads our own choice of Christian book for half an hour or so. Older kids can start reading apologetic books to equip them to engage with current affairs. It also helps them see how we can love the Lord our God with all our minds. On some days, for our family devotions, we get everyone to share what they read during their personal Bible reading in the morning. So again, there is no hard and fast rule here. You just need to experiment and adapt as your children grow. Ask around for recommendations of material. There are plenty of resources out there. So that's the second element, suitable material.
The third element is this, structured routine. Routine here means you have a clear plan of what to do at each family devotion. Are you going to read first and then share and then close with prayer? Are you going to pray first before reading? Or maybe you would like to sing first before reading and praying. If you are praying, who is going to pray? And if you are going to sing, how many songs? And who picks the songs? Of course, it doesn't mean that your family devotion always looks and feels the same every time, but you must make sure that you and your children know what to expect during the family devotion time. For example, these days, when we read the Bible together, the routine looks like this. Someone starts with a short prayer. I randomly pick anyone to open with a short prayer. They know it is random, so they know what's coming. And then we read the passage, 2 verses each from the youngest to the oldest. And then I will ask questions such as anything interesting or any questions from the passage. If they ask questions and I don't have the answer, I simply say, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer. And then move on. Sometimes I find out the answer and tell them next time. Sometimes I forget about it. Don't stress about it. And sometimes I ask them a question to make it more interesting. Depending on how the conversation goes, we talk and discuss the passage a bit more. We also try to show how this passage is relevant to our world today. And as much as possible, connect it to Jesus and the gospel. And finally, we ask, what do you learn from the passage? It can be a commandment to obey, a new truth that they learned, a fresh observation, or even a simple reminder. I expect different levels of answers depending on their age. And then we close in prayer, again from the youngest to the oldest. We encourage them to thank God, confess their sins, pray for themselves, pray for each other, and pray for other things as well. For example, during the month of Ramadan, we use the 30 days of prayer booklet to pray for Muslims around the world. We also receive prayer booklets from Open Door to regularly pray for persecuted believers. We receive prayer updates from missionaries, from other Christian organizations. We use those prayer points to help inform our prayers and to encourage us to pray much bigger than ourselves. Another example, on the night we read Christian books together, the routine looks like this. Someone opens with a quick prayer, and then we read our own books for half an hour or so. We then share what we read from the youngest to the oldest. Each has 3 minutes to share. We might then ask each other some questions based on what they read. Then after everyone shares, we close in prayer from the youngest to the oldest. So that's what I mean by structured routine. The more they know what to expect, the more they can enjoy participating in the family devotions. Of course, this is flexible. There are days when we are tired, so we just read and then one of us closes in prayer. Or there are days we simply just pray together. And sometimes when we were out and went home a bit late at night, we just prayed together in the car so that we could go straight to bed when we got home. Again, set a standard structured routine so your family members know what to expect, but be flexible as well, depending on the day and the energy level. As parents, one thing we must make sure of is this: work hard to make family devotion an enjoyable time for everyone. Don't be rigid, don't be legalistic about it, don't feel that you have to complete everything you have planned. The plan is supposed to serve you and your family, not the other way around.
So those are 3 elements that make fruitful and meaningful family devotions: sustainable consistency, suitable material, and structured routine. As of now, our typical week looks something like this. On Mondays, we do family reading before dinner, and we then share what we read during dinner. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we share our personal devotion during dinner time. On Wednesdays, we share briefly how we encounter God during the week. On Fridays, we go to life group together. It's fortnightly, so the other fortnight is more or less free time. On Saturdays, it's Bible reading time. Then on Sundays, we share what we learn in the service during dinner time. So we also know what our kids learn in Sunday school and youth group. It revolves around dinner time for us, again for the reason we mentioned in the last video. Now it may look different for your family, and don't compare yours with others. This is just an example. And we are pretty flexible at times too, in case unforeseen circumstances happen. But the point is you must plan what you are doing and why you are doing it. By the way, this also works for your personal spiritual discipline. There's nothing new here.
So that's one aspect of family discipleship, creating intentional time to direct your family's hearts towards God. In the next 2 videos, we will look at how we seize any teachable moment and create and mark significant milestones in our children's lives for discipleship opportunities. See you in the next video. Bye for now.